dog. We're all afraid to speak the truth, and the more afraid we get, the more we hate the ones who do. You're ashamed to be American? Okay, that's cool. Cause honestly, we are all ashamed of you too.
Y'all are so fake, oh no. The forecast said that there'd be snowflakes. Whoa, you can make us see it your way. No way, gasoline and propane. More flames, oh no. No more snowflakes.
Oh yeah, that is Mr. Tom McDonald. I want to thank him so much for allowing us to use that really, really amazing song. He's like dropping songs left, right, and center. He had a huge release last Friday called New World Order. He's got another huge release coming up this Friday, so make sure that you guys are following him on his social media. I believe the videos are getting dropped on his YouTube page, so go ahead and take a look at him on his YouTube page. He's got some amazing songs. He's got some amazing messages for every human in this world right now when it comes to fighting for freedom and really demanding that we have freedom of choice moving forward and freedom of speech for sure. So welcome to the Filthy Truth. Of course, this is a little bit pre-recorded, so if you guys do have questions, make sure to tag me in the questions, and I'll make sure to do my best to answer them. Or if there are questions for Dr. Pam Popper, then I'll make sure to get them to her, and then we'll see if we can figure out a way to get some of those Q&As answered. I want to put out a huge thank you to Resistance Coffee. Of course, they are the Filthy Truth lifeline when it comes to caffeine. So head over to resistancecoffee.com/filthytruth, and then you guys can type in the code Lynne, and you guys can save 10% on your coffee purchases. It's amazing. The Defund the CBC is the best coffee. Just going to say that right now. It's the best coffee to drink. I want to thank TakeActionCanada.ca. Of course, they are airing this live, so thank you to Take Action Canada. I want to thank WAM. So if you go to Winnipeg Alternative Media, if you type in WAM.live, you guys get to also watch us live on that platform. And of course, if you guys just want to go to YouTube and you want to kind of keep pumping up my stuff, that's awesome too. Head over to YouTube. It's Filthy Truth WPG, and you guys can find us there, and you guys can comment away. I know that we have a couple people that text me personally after they've tried to comment, and I don't know if it's because YouTube has it out for me or what, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll let it be what it's going to be. I just want to put a shout out to all the badass moms who's reached out over the last week and a half about, putting their wellness first and starting to take action into parking the excuses and moving their bodies. Either they're looking for weight loss, or just looking to get back into fitness, or they're just looking to feel better every single day. Because we could wake up in the morning and we can kind of continue on our day by putting our head in the sand. But the problem is that eventually that all catches up to us. We feel lethargic. Our bodies feel gross. We feel bloated. We don't feel good. Our joints ache and everything. So we want to make sure that we're moving our bodies. We have a 90-day program right now, and it's a no gym, no problem work program. It's from beginners to advanced. I literally have everything from elite levels to very, 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 very beginner with chair sits and different alternate different workouts, because we want to make sure that everybody's able to move their bodies. And we want to make sure that you guys, when you're in your 60s, that you can pick something up off the floor, that you can sit on the toilet, because at the end of the day, it is all about functional movement. And we want to make sure that our bodies are staying in the best shape as they can. All right. With all that, I do want to put a shout out to Iron Will from strongandfreecanada.org. If you guys head over there and watch the Iron Will report, you guys will see the convoy message that I had out there for the Filthy Truth rant. And we stand by our freedom fighters. We stand by the truckers. It's amazing to see, like, the little truckers that could in Canada, and how the eyes are all on it right now is absolutely... It makes me so proud to be Canadian right now. Even in Mexico, we watch it every single day, and we're always keeping our eyes on it, because it is so important, the movement that our truckers have started. I mean, look, they're doing it, a convoy in Australia. I believe they started one in the U.S. that is going out to the Capitol Hill. I think this is amazing. I think this is what the world needed, and I think this is what we can do to start stepping up. If you watched JT's speech from Tofino, because that's where he's at, he's not even in Ottawa. JT is going to keep pushing that the only way that this gets free is by injecting a shot in your body. And we got to all know that at this point, it's not working. I mean, he tested positive and supposedly he has all 3 shots as well. So we just know that at the end of the day, it is about wellness. It is about health. And if they really want to make this about health and how to care for ourselves, then we need to listen to people like Pam. She has a book out called Food Over Medicine, which I love the title because I truly believe that we can heal a lot of our problems through the right amount of foods, the right foods, and how we cook our foods, right? If we're deep frying our foods, it's probably not the best way to eat our foods. But if we're doing it the right way and we're really incorporating movement, we're really incorporated the spiritual health, and we're really creating an attachment to our emotional health, and we're really kind of combining physical, mental, and spiritual, and we really kind of create this lovely pyramid. We can heal ourselves from the hardest, most devastating illnesses through the power of food. I mean, I remember listening to a TED Talks a couple years back, actually, and he was diagnosed with a level 4, and maybe I'll ask Dr. Pam about this, but was a level 4 colon cancer. And he healed himself through raw foods diet and with vitamin C drops. And it was amazing to see the story that, he can cure what was supposed to be a death sentence for his cancer. She is also a fellow freedom fighter. So I would love to, because we don't have her for very long, I want to get her on the show right now. So Alex, please bring on Dr. Pam. Okay, we got the standing ovation. That was the first time we nailed it, Pam. That was the first time we got it.
I feel very appreciated. Thank you.
I believe that doctors like yourself need to be celebrated more. And I think doctors like yourself need to be listened to more, because if people really did, like, even if they read your book, Food Over Medicine, like, let's talk about that. How much better would our society be right now? And how much healthier would we be if we actually did what you wrote about?
Well, we can look at some other cultures and have a very specific answer to that question. The longest lived women in the world live in Okinawa, and they eat a plant-centered diet. It's very low in fat, high in fiber. The Blue Zones, the Seventh-day Adventist community in Loma Linda, California, they eat a very plant-centered diet, very little animal food. And so most of what doctors spend time treating would turn from very common, like by the time you're 60, everybody has it, to much more rare events. And we certainly would go a long way in keeping our children from being so sick. I think one of the most disturbing things I've ever watched happen was when the American Academy of Pediatrics said that we need to start testing the cholesterol levels of 8-year-olds. And if we can't get them to cholesterol lowered sufficiently with diet, then we put them on a statin drug. And an 8-year-old taking Lipitor just seems like a comic strip type of thing, not something that should be going on in real life, And there's a chewable form of Lipitor that was developed for the European Union for children. So then we could spend some time on other things that are health related. We have a lot of resources. Insurance premiums wouldn't be so high. Governments wouldn't be so stressed. I mean, the ripple effect of doing this, if we got everybody to do it, would be pretty incredible, actually.
I love that you brought up the Blue Zones, because I did do a bit of research on that. And there's a town even in Italy where they talk about how people are living for like 100 years through what they do, which is a lot of walking. There's not a lot of click the button here and get it delivered in 24 minutes or less. Again, the whole thing that what you brought up is really important to me. And it's a core value of mine, which is I'm a vegan and I'm hardcore vegan. Truly believe that we don't need animals to eat. And I mean, I get some flack on both sides of it, but I truly believe that we don't need an animal to eat. Because when I was eating meat, I always felt sick. I always felt gross. I always felt like my joints were achy, maybe eating the wrong meat, maybe eating too much of it. But in that one town in Italy, they eat, I think he said the total amount of meat that they eat actually a day was only like 10 to 15 grams. So explain to me about that. Why do you feel like the plant-based and the higher fiber helps these Blue Zone people live longer and healthier?
Yeah, so the first thing is I'm also vegan by choice. It's not a health mandate. It's not something that you have to do in order to be healthy. And I want to make that clear, because I think sometimes the hard stance as it's presented to others, different than personal choice that you and I've made,
Mhm.
maybe scares people from coming in, dipping their toe in the water to see what it's like over here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing that the blue zones have in common, as it pertains to diet, the particular type of animal food that they eat is changes. Like in Ethiopia, that's not a blue zone, by the way, but they eat goat. They also have some pretty good health statistics as well,
Mhm.
but the amount is really small. It's almost like a condiment.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of reasons for it. One is that economically, the most expensive food you eat is animal food.
Mhm.
And the best evidence I can give you is that if you take the average amount of SNAP money, let's take somebody who's living on food stamps in the United States and getting public assistance, take the animal food out of the diet, and there's enough money for people to eat not just well, but very well. All right.
Mhm.
The most expensive thing. So they don't have the money to consume animal food 3 times a day, 7 days a week, like we do in westernized cultures, fully westernized cultures. So they do it for economic reasons, and then a byproduct is that they end up healthier. And then another aspect of their lives that's really important, you brought up physical activity. They're very physically active. And they live in densely populated areas, which you'd think would be a public health problem. But actually, it contributes to their health because people are really connected to their neighbors. So you walk outside from your house or your apartment building or whatever it is that you're living, and you walk down the street to the bakery, and then you go the other direction and you go pick up something else, and you talk to the people that you run into in the street, all of whom that you know, and neighbors come over for dinner. So it's a very socially connected group of people that also contributes to their health. So, but back to the diet issue, I mean, the leading cause of death in westernized countries is heart disease, all right, coronary artery disease. Well, how do you get coronary artery disease? Well, you eat a lot of food that contains fat and cholesterol, all right?
Yep.
And plasma cholesterol levels are very indicative of heart attack and stroke risk. Nobody dies of high cholesterol, it's just a marker. But interestingly enough, it's also a marker for cancer risk because cancer cells live on cholesterol while they're building the vasculature to bring more glucose into their cells. So you can lower your risk of heart disease and cancer by lowering the animal food, lowering the fat, lowering the cholesterol in your diet, and then replacing that with high fiber, low fat, plant-based foods. And one thing I want to tell people, because again, they get scared thinking that we all live on tree bark and acorns.
And grass.
The food is delicious once you learn how to prepare it. And there's
Yep.
no mandate to eat any particular food. I mean, I've had people tell me they don't like green apples and kale, but they're choking them down. Well, why are you doing that to yourself?
Yep.
I don't like green apples either. I never buy them at the store. It turned out just fine, right? So you pick
Yep.
foods that you like, you learn how to prepare them well. Your grocery bill goes down, your medical bills go down, your health improves, you feel great, you get up in the morning ready to start the day and run around for 18, 19 hours like I do, and you wonder why you didn't do it earlier. Most people
Yep.
feel that way.
Oh, absolutely. I've been vegan for over 4 years now, and I dabbled in it a little bit when my kids were younger. It was just too hard to do like 5 different meals, so I ended up going back to meat. But what I did find, and I love what you're saying, because people think vegans only eat salads. And when we go out here in Mexico and I'll say, well, can I get a vegan menu? They're like, oh, well, there's the salad there. And it's like, no, I hate salad. And I hate salad. I think it doesn't, there's not a lot of flavor to it. I could make a salad taste good. And I really like that you say that, because it's all in how you prep. Like, I get bugged here all the time because I'm always in the kitchen prepping food. Real food. You just have to learn how to cook it. I love that you're saying that. And I kind of just quickly want to touch about the kids, because the kids, that's kind of the next generation growing up really unhealthy right now, isn't it? Like, we see the children, like I know a kid that's he's 12 years old and he weighs more than I do. I'm 155 pounds and he's something like 160, 170 pounds at 12. What are we kind of linking this up to? Like, I don't want to call it lazy parenting, but I want to call it like not committing to a healthier process for our children.
I think it's that parents don't know. You know, a couple generations ago, we started having this thing called kid food. All right. I don't understand kid food. If you live in, Northern Africa, pretty healthy people there. If you live in Okinawa, you live in some of these healthier places, rural China, there's no kid food. There's just food. All right. But you go into a restaurant and you see what kid food looks like. You've got the regular menu, which may include several healthy things that you and I would be interested in eating. Then you
Yep.
go down to the corner of the menu and it's got the kids menu, and it's macaroni and cheese and hot dogs and a cheeseburger and french fries. It's absolute garbage, when actually that should be just smaller portions of the regular menu. And in many European countries, they find this kid food idea pretty appalling. Well, here's what I'm getting at. If you're a parent and your parents gave you kid food when you were little, then your automatic assumption, and I've seen this happen again and again, is that, well, kids don't like healthy food. Like if I gave my child edamame, or I gave my 4-year-old mushrooms, and they wouldn't like that, so they get kid food. And just to illustrate the point, I was at a birthday party. Two friends of mine, two couples I'm friends with, had their babies about the same time. So they had a 2-year-old birthday party together. Lots of people in all walks of life and everything. Of course, the healthy eaters like me are there. And so are the garbage eaters, mostly them, right? And everybody was just flabbergasted at these 2-year-olds eating edamame and stir fry with vegetables and rice and mushrooms and that sort of thing. They're going, how do you get kids to eat that? And both sets of parents were saying that's all they know. And so there isn't anything else to eat in our houses except for this kind of stuff. So these kids don't have the option of having Captain Crunch for breakfast and pizza for lunch and brownies in the afternoon and that kind of thing. Yep. So I think that's part of the problem. And of course, the advertising and marketing that's done to make people think that junk food is healthy. Okay, yep. So you take this toaster pastry, it's nothing but garbage. Fortify it with some vitamins, and you can say, great source of vitamin C. Well, here's a newsflash. Toaster pastries are not where you get your vitamin C, right? No.
Yeah, that's true, right? Because if you look at even like there's the health check, right? We have this thing called Health Check Canada, and it's like a little heart with a check in it. And you can find that like on applesauce that has like 30 grams of sugar, and it has like a list of like 10 other different sugars, because, you know, like people just see glucose and they're like, oh, there's sugar. But there's all the other lists of sugars that people don't even realize. And right. They think that it's healthy because it's apple apple sludge, and it's just really apple sugar, and that's the biggest. Yeah, it's definitely like it's for sure an education thing when it comes to our nutrition. And same with my kids. Like my kids, they're allowed their treats once in a while, but they damn well know like breakfast isn't sugar cereal. Like they don't even have it. They're not allowed to have it. And my kid is 16 and one's going to be 14. And they like, my daughter will choose fruit and vegetables over, a bunch of cookies. And that's always like, it's a great thing to be able to see that. Right. One of the things too that I had talked to you, and that was kind of how I originally talked to you, was I reached out, and this is the biggest push that I think I'm doing. And I see like people like Andy Frisilla is getting on it, and a couple other of the bigger speakers are starting to talk about it, which is the healthy at every body weight, which is a really dangerous trend, I find, because people are, they text me and they're like, well, I'm healthy. And I'm like, well, that's great. Like, what do you kind of go through your day? Like, tell me what you're eating. And they're telling me that they're eating this kind of yogurt, they're doing this. And it's like, and I'm like, do you like count your sugars that you have in a day and then tell me if that's healthy? I make them do the work, because if I tell them, they're not going to believe me. So when they do the work and they get back to me and they're like, damn, I didn't think I was eating that much sugar. Like, no wonder I'm not losing a pound. If anything, this is why I'm gaining weight. So I really kind of wanted to pick your brain on that. Like, that trend that health is at every body weight. Like if somebody's at 350 pounds, now this again, please know that I'm never attacking the person, because there's a reason why that weight is on that person in the first place. Something traumatic happened, something was said, they put the weight on to protect themselves. So
I've been this weight since I was in school, and I'm 300 plus, just a little plus.
Yeah. So this is never an attack on anybody, because this is like, people are like, oh, you're fat shaming. It's like, no, I'm not fat shaming, but you can't tell me that you're healthy at 350 pounds when your cholesterol might be through the roof and all of this stuff. So let's talk about that. What kind of trend do you see happening with that? And why are we in the culture, the woke culture, why do you think that this is becoming more mainstream and more accepted in our world?
Well, I'll just preface my statements by saying that I'm 65 years old, and about 40 years ago, I got over being politically correct. Okay, so
perfect.
I'll also say that I'm with you.
Fuck yeah. There is no such thing as politically correct. Everybody's going to take an issue with everything.
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
sure.
I also want to say that I agree with you that this isn't about fat shaming or anything like that. But But the first thing is that we seem to be trending in our society to finding a reason to allow almost anything to go on that somebody wants to do, whether and this is, I use the word in all of my business endeavors, in my volunteer group, in my nonprofit group. We use this, we call it the D word. People are very upset about the D word. It's called discipline. Okay, you have to take a disciplined approach to life, and you have to stand for something, and you have to have principles, and you have to have, you the way that you live your life, you're basically making an announcement to people about what your life stands for, what you stand for, what you think is okay. All right, so in an effort to be politically correct and to make sure that nobody's offended, health professionals have taken this stance that you can be healthy at any weight, which saves us from having an uncomfortable conversation with people.
Yeah.
And it is uncomfortable. I don't find it uncomfortable because I think what people come to me to hear about is honesty. In other words, they can have smoke blown up their rear ends at the local medical center at their university. They don't need me to continue that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want some honesty. What is it going to take for me to be healthy? And you can't be healthy if you're carrying extra weight. And it's a dose-dependent effect. The heavier you get, the more you're careening toward disaster. A couple of things that I'll point out that are just easy for people to look at. There are, if you just Googled, for example, 100-year-old people, centenarians, look at the picture of them. There's not an obese person in the group, okay? The second thing is that your fitness is evidenced by your musculature. Why am I bringing this up? I happen to be in an age range where what I do and how fit I am is going to determine whether I'm going to live in my own house until I die, or if I'm going to end up in some kind of care home. And if there's anything that we learned during this debacle in the last couple of years, is about the last place on the planet you want to end up is in one of these places where you're locked up like a prisoner, kept away from everybody who you know, and you're literally warehoused until they kill you from neglect. All right.
Yep.
So I never wanted to go there, but I'll tell you, the sentiment I have about it's quite a bit stronger now than it was then. So I think the key is basically saying, look, whatever happened that caused this to happen, it's a combination of things. And I don't think it's the person's fault. In other words, I've never met anybody who said, since I was 8 years old, I wanted to be obese. And I just made up my mind and I did it. So nobody ends up in this situation because they wanted to do it or they did it deliberately. Having said that, let's start looking at how it happened and fix it. Yep. And if you don't want to fix it, that's a form of self-destructiveness that we also want to look into, because it usually spills over into other things too. And so I'm a real outcomes-oriented person. When people come to me to talk about their health, of course, I want to work from their set of objectives, but optimal health is the thing. That's the standard. As the closer we get to optimal health, and it's going to be different for everybody, how long it takes and how close you can get, but that's what we need to strive for. And if doctors wearing white coats would have those discussions with patients, they would listen, because they have a lot of credibility and authority. And the fact that they don't do it is appalling. It's just appalling.
It really, really is. It really is, because you know what, like, people's lives they could live such a healthy, happy life for so long, and they can be independent. Because let's be honest, like, at the end of the day, you want to, if you live up to 95 years old, you don't want somebody helping you go to the bathroom. You don't want somebody picking up your thing. You don't want to even be either pushed in a wheelchair or needing to be in a walker. Like, I've seen it. I worked in an old folks home. I've seen it firsthand what type 2 diabetes does to feet. I've seen firsthand what Alzheimer's does when the person had come up from like an obese lifestyle, from just eating crap all the time, and then just the linkage of the high fat foods and the sleep deprivation and all that can that's linked to the Alzheimer's. I've seen it firsthand what it does, and it steals your last years of your life because you lose your freedom. So we're all in this movement of freedom right now, but if we're not willing to own our health, what freedom do you really have in the latter part of your life? Right. And I think it's super important that we need to start changing. So I really like how you say the D word, the discipline. Why is it culturally more United States and Canada? It's starting in Europe, I guess, as well. But why is it so people are so freaking lack the discipline to eat healthier? Why is it that we lack discipline to go out for a 45-minute walk or even do a 20-minute workout? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think I've always been an advocate for what I call choice architecture. Choice architecture means that you set your life up for things to happen in a certain way so that it's easier to make a good decision than a bad decision. So I'm pretty disciplined when I set my mind to something. I grew up in a family of European immigrants where, you know, we lived a very conventional, traditional lifestyle, right? Of discipline in academics, discipline in a lot of things. So that was kind of my background. But you know, having said that, in order to keep myself on track, one thing is there's no bad food in my house.
Yep.
So at 11 o'clock at night, instead of playing willpower games with myself at the kitchen counter, well, gosh, I could have some pineapple or some bananas or some sliced melon or a pear, or I could have cookies, or I could have soy ice cream, you know, because you can get into the vegan junk food as much as other stuff. So that's one example. I have a client that was having a heck of a time making herself go to the gym in the morning. So she started sleeping in her exercise clothes, and then she actually has to take them off. You know, so she jumps out of bed in her spandex and, you know, goes to the gym, right?
Yeah.
So and then if you do that, if you set your life up to promote good choices, what happens is over a period of time, the good choices become automatic. They develop what's called automaticity. And this is the way humans deal with things and make decisions all day long. Like, you don't sit and deliberate. Should I stop at the red light or not? I don't know. I've been stopping for a long time. This time I'll take a walk on the wild side. A lot of our life is based on automaticity. And if you can get your good habits over to that category, life becomes just a whole lot simpler and easier. And I think the other thing that is important about this is, as soon as you start talking about living differently and eating differently, people start thinking, my gosh, this is going to be so strict and I'll never be able to have cake again and I'll never be able to have cookies again. It's not true. The dose is the poison. And cake on your birthday and a glass of wine 6 or 8 times a year, that's not going to kill you. It's when this stuff becomes food groups. I mean, it's every day you're having this stuff. That's when it starts to become a problem. And you actually look forward to it. You know, one thing, when I was not eating well, and I used to be fat. People can't imagine that now because I'm clearly not fat, but I was really fat. And I ate the most god-awful junk food. Like, I look back, I would be so uninterested in it just because it's so low quality. And now if I end up having something, it's because it is so kick butt fabulous that
you're going to enjoy every bite
out of it. And then you say, okay, well, that was great. I won't be doing that again for another few weeks, right?
Yeah.
So you get a little bit more into the quality of what you're eating, which is a nice thing too.
For sure. And like you, like, I used to be over 200 pounds myself. And like, I think back about the food that I ate back in the day, and it's like, I could never go back to that, because you know how you felt after it, you know, and you never really enjoyed it, because you'd scarf it down and then would be like, well, you know what, that pound of rice peanut butter cup looks really damn good right now too. So I'm just going to eat all of that. And then and being vegan, I think being vegan has like really cleaned up my whole like chocolate and all the bullshit, because I don't eat it anymore. And then what I like how you're saying it, you know, people think that you're so confined to a diet. Man, I eat like pizza tacos. I eat so much food, but you have to dose it the right way, and you have to add it to the right way. And once in a blue moons, you get to enjoy this stuff. Like, I find pizza tacos are amazing. Something we invented here in Mexico because we wanted pizza, and they don't have any vegan crusts here. So I know that we have to cut this short because you had another call there right away, Pam. But how can, what can we talk about? Like, what can we say to the people who are sitting there thinking like, I really want to change, but I don't know what the steps are to changing. You know, my doctor says my cholesterol is fine, but I'm, 150 pounds overweight and I don't feel good. Like, what would be the one thing you can say that to that person?
Right here. Say it to me, because I'm the guy.
Talk to Alex.
Well, I think there are a lot of books. I mean, I recommend Food Over Medicine. We help people with this transition. There are a lot of people that help others to make the transition. But I think the first step in the whole thing is you just get rid of the clearly bad food out of your house. You just have to get it out of your house. Use choice architecture instead of thinking that willpower is going to keep you from eating bad stuff. Yep. And one thing that I've always told people is, just as a starting place, because I can look back on my bad eating days, I had some dishes that weren't too bad that I could keep eating. And there are some dishes that lend themselves to being cleaned up a little bit. Like if you make really fabulous chili, take out the beef and stick in 2 different kinds of beans and season it the same way, because seasoning makes the food. I mean, the beef doesn't even taste very good if you don't season it, right? And so, so look at it this way. Just come up with 5 or 6 things that you can start to make. And another thing that I'm a big advocate for, I was on a reality TV show, and this kind of came about as a result of that by accident. I know it's kind of a weird thing for somebody like me, but this idea of batch cooking. So what I do is on the weekend, I figure out what I'm going to eat this week. All right. And I go buy the food and everything else. I make it all on Sunday, generally speaking. All right. And then I make enough of it that I can have, like breakfast, you can make like smoothies or oatmeal or whatever. But when it comes to lunch and the rest of the day, most people don't have time to cook. So I make enough of it that I can have lunch and something to eat in the middle of the afternoon and dinner and maybe something after I finish working at night. And then all I'm doing is warming up things and making a salad to go with it, instead of saying, well, I don't have time to cook right now, so I'm just going to go grab something. Those are the worst choices you make. So have your refrigerator stocked with this kind of stuff. And everybody watching this, I bet, could come up with something that they're making now that's really good and could easily be discontinued. A chili or a soup or something you can clean up. Pasta with marinara sauce and vegetables tossed in is an easy dish. That's something to start with. So make a few things like that, get into the habit of batch cooking, and then buy a few cookbooks. And they're beautiful now. They have pictures, make the food look really appealing, and that kind of thing. And I think you'll find that it doesn't take much to get you on a healthier track, and you'll like it and feel better about yourself as you do it.
I totally agree. And I think when I was working at the gym, that's what we had to do. Was Sunday was meal prep day. And we did all our batch cooking on Sunday. That took care of all our suppers. That took care of all our lunches. Everything in between was just like grab some bananas at, the local supermarket and just and I had food always at the gym. I don't know about you, but being super active and super whatever, I eat a lot of food during the course of the day. 2,500 calories for a vegan is a lot of calories if you're eating natural foods, right? And if you're eating real foods. But yeah, I like that. And the chili, like you said, it's all in the seasoning anyways. I make lentil chili all the time. It's so freaking fabulous. Or a lentil stew. And you get all your proteins, you get all your fibers, you get all your everything through that. And it tastes absolutely amazing.
And see, my kids won't do anything that doesn't have some kind of meat substance in it, like actual meat. And I love vegetarian food and vegan food. Like personally, I love that stuff better than some of the dishes we cook now, but it's the kids, they just won't give up the meat. And that's where I'm finding it.
If you seasoned it the same way, they probably wouldn't even notice. My kids too, same thing.
Yeah. One other thing you mentioned, I think, is really important, and this is an enticing thing, is back when I was fat and I was always trying to get ready, fit into some kind of a dress for this wedding I'm going to, and I did all that up and down, dieting and restriction, and I was an expert at restriction. I could lose 20 pounds. You can do that when you're thinner, right? Oh, in 6 weeks I can starve myself thinner. I used to say thin, but looking back, subjective statement. Thinner. But anyway, my point is that one of the things that I think people enjoy about this once they do it is how much you can just eat, how much food you can eat instead of this constant restriction. I remember being at a party last year and the crowd was kind of half and half carnivores and half people eating this way. The hostess had made a fabulous buffet of food that you and I would really enjoy eating. Okay, so here we are. The two of us are pretty small people. I'm real lean, so we've got these big dinner plates piled with food, and the carnivores are used to getting tiny portions, and they're going, where are you little girls going to put this food? I said, I don't understand. I'm going back for seconds. Okay, this is of course, right? And it was delicious. And then we, of course, for dessert, she had this gorgeous fruit dessert. And, so most people would rather engage in just eating what they want, how much they want. I want to build up. People like chewing food. So this business of you get a smaller plate and put the tiny portion on it and somehow that makes it okay. That's ridiculous. I never eat a little bit of food on a small plate and said, well, now I'm satiated. I'm only satiated when I eat a lot of great tasting food on a nice, great big dinner plate and can go back for more if I want it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, I like Dr. Michelle May with a couple of the things that she says, like, eat until you're content. When you're eating vegetables and food that are healthy for you, you really don't overeat. And it's almost like you can't overeat because you really like, who's really going to fill up on cucumbers, carrots, and all? You eat until you're satisfied. And then you're like, okay, I'm good. Like, and like you said, like, I'll go for seconds and then I'll eat like, 20 minutes later, I'll have my fruit vegetable, like my fruit dessert plate. And then people are like, where the fuck do you put that food? Like, seriously, where does it all go? But because you're eating such quality food, you never really, like, I don't really count calories. I just kind of take it in.
Don't have
I eat.
to.
You don't have to, because you eat until you're content. I know I work
Counting
out
calories sucks.
All right,
And it
but
is
it
the
puts you in
worst
the-
thing that people do to themselves is count their calories. It's like, you can eat. It's like, there is numbers. You are only supposed to eat so many calories a day, but it's like, if you're an active person, those calories aren't enough to sustain you sometimes.
When you eat calories, I find this is what happens. It puts you in restriction. And then once you're done restriction, you go into overeating. And then once you're overeating, you go back into restriction. And it's just a cycle that we really learn. We
And
have
I
to
hate
learn how to
diets
break.
for that too. I hate diets for that too, because they put a person in
Diets
a
don't work.
category saying you only need to do it for this long and you'll lose weight, where a diet is you have to continue it the rest of your life, or you're going to just go backwards as soon as you stop.
There's one other issue I'll bring up too, and that is that nobody can count calories accurately.
Mhm.
Right. So I look at what I had for lunch, which is one of these soups that I made on Sunday. They had like 11 ingredients. And then I had a great big salad and I put some roasted beets in it and some cut up radishes and tomatoes. And all. Okay. How do we figure out the calories in that?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So how much black beans did I have today? I don't know. How much tomato? How many radishes? Well, they were big radishes, so it was only 2 radishes, but they were like really big ones. So maybe that counted for 5. So you start trying to enter this into some kind of a database, and you're guessing at best. And one thing I've told people about this kind of tracking, I want you to put more intentionality into what you're going to eat before you consume it, instead of all this effort into trying to figure out what you did in a database, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you can disconnect people from all that tracking and all that kind of stuff, it's a feeling of freedom, because you can't overeat this food. You'll explode. There's only so much lentils and lettuce and stuff like that you can consume before you just explode,
Yeah, you just can't eat anymore. Like you physically cannot put another bite in. And usually if you actually tap in what you're eating and start to listen like that, and I think that's a big problem too, is people don't listen to their stomachs, right? They don't listen to the cues of like, the Christmas dinners or the Thanksgiving dinners. They eat until they can't breathe. And it's like, but if you listen to your stomach, you would know it's like screaming at you saying, hey, like we're good. We don't need any more food. But it's almost like our brain is programmed to finish every last bite on that plate.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's a big one.
Some parents actually instill that in their kids. I know I'm really bad for, I can't leave anything on my plate, or I feel like I'm going to get punished, because it was something that happened to me as a kid. It was like, you got to sit at this table until your food is done, or you can't go have fun outside or do whatever.
Yep. See, we did that with our kids in a different way. We said, you don't have to finish your food, because I never, ever, ever wanted to give my kids a complex when it comes to food. So what I did say is, you don't have to finish that. You can go and do what you want to do, but your next meal or your next snack is going to be the rest of whatever's on the table here. Like, especially if there was a lot left over, right? If there was a little bit left, it was like, go, you guys are full. You don't need to eat anymore, because then you create a healthier relationship with food. When you stop to when you're content, and to keep eating when you're full, and like learning how to eat leftovers, I think, is super important for our kids to learn as well. I think eating leftovers is we need to train our kids to be able to do that, because it's still good. It doesn't go bad because you're eating it 3 hours later. Right.
I did have a question for you guys,
Oh, yeah.
both of you, because you guys are in the health stuff. Okay, so in the last 20 years, I'm 30 some, I've noticed like my body size is getting smaller, but my weight isn't changing. Like I'm 300 plus pounds, but it's like I went from 4XL and I'm in a large, extra large now. Like my body shape is smaller, but my weight hasn't gone anywhere.
It's interesting.
Any thoughts? Any?
Well, it may be that if you're moving more, you're building muscle and burning some fat, which is good. And what you want to do is just accelerate that, because it'll be easier to lose weight that way. Muscle burns more calories than fat, which is one of the reasons why lean people can eat so much food. It's almost aggravating. Like a lean person will burn more calories sleeping than an over fat person will burn mowing the lawn. So it sounds like you've started to go in the right direction on a lot of things. I'd keep that up.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Dr. Pam, can we talk quickly about the Make Americans Free Again .com? What is that movement and what does that look like?
Well, I live in the United States of America. Actually, the People's Republic of America is what it has turned into. It's a closer relationship than you might imagine. And our freedoms were taken away. I live in Ohio, which was the model state for the rest of the country. Actually, we were the first to shut down and the first to close schools. And I'm familiar with medical tyranny, which is what this is. I'm also familiar with the game playing to force vaccinate, which is what this is. And this isn't the first fake pandemic that's been declared. And the only thing I didn't know as soon as it started in 2020 was how deep and dark this thing really was.
Yeah.
But I figured out in the middle of the summer, if we didn't do something about it, it would never go away. And so we started Make Americans Free Again. And our objectives are twofold. We've been successfully filing lawsuits using a really sound strategy here in the United States, and we're going to keep doing that. Litigation's a little bit like watching paint dry, however, so you have to have some other things to do in the meantime. And what we've done is we've built this parallel society through our group. So our people meet new friends and they find a new church to go to that doesn't require masks, and they find new jobs where you don't have to get a vaccine, and they meet they homeschool their kids together, and we save local businesses, and we help healthcare providers get into private practice. And so it is a parallel society. And when I started this, I never really knew what that was going to look like. It just sort of evolved. But I have since found out that people living under communism in what was Czechoslovakia, the Czech Republic, this is how they survived. They had a whole underground thing going on that allowed them to live normally. When the gathering limits in Ohio were 10 and you weren't supposed to leave your house without a mask, we had a fundraiser for 350 people. We all knew if you go to this grocery store, you don't have to wear a mask. In this coffee shop, you don't have to wear a mask. So we've led perfectly normal lives, the people who are part of these groups, and we now have them in all 50 states. We sign up. We start a new group here every couple of hours.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. No, I think it's amazing. I love the work that you're doing. I love everything that you kind of represent, because it very much lines up with my mentality of it. Freedom, against tyranny, freedom, and creating. We did the same thing in Winnipeg. We said you want a 2-tier system, we'll give you one. We created like a whole bunch of homeschooling networks. We got together a whole bunch of other people together, and it was just absolutely amazing to be a part of that. And then of course how your views on food and health, I think just super align up to what we need to see more in this world. So I really appreciate that you took the time to come on the show. I hope you can come back on again, because I really think that this would be such a great conversation to continue. I think we just keep educating the people together, and Canada and the USA, like we're neighbors. So we need to make sure that we're taking care of each other, because I think if you help us and we help you, I think everybody can just live in such this amazing harmony, because we are so blessed to have the freedoms that we have had and that we need to keep fighting for. So thank you so much, Pam, for joining us today. And I hope that everything that you do keeps continuing to grow in such amazing success.
All right, great. We'll continue our conversation. Have a great day.
For sure. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, that was Dr. Pam Popper from wellnessformhealth.com and makeamericans.free.com or makeamericans.freeagain.com. I want to thank her for joining us today. She has an amazing message, which is, of course, what we've been promoting for so long. If you guys are interested in stepping up and joining a program, that is exactly what we talked about today, which is, we help you move the needle by holding accountable. I don't have any diet programs. And the reason I don't have any diet programs or have never put anybody on a diet program is because you can eat anything and everything that you want. You just have to learn how to eat it when to eat it, how to cook it, how to prep it, how to make it a little bit healthier. And that's how we move the needle. And that's how we make health great again. And that's how we get what we strive for, which is freedom. Because think about it. If you're overweight, you lost a foot to a type 2 diabetes. If you have cancer and you can't do much because of whatever, and you have Alzheimer's, you have all of this stuff because of wellness issues that you could have prevented that from younger. And it's being proven more and more and more. I can get a lot of woke people are going to be like, damn you, Nelson, for saying this, but it's true. It's all linked together. If you can start doing something now, you guys can give yourself a chance in the later part of your lives to be able to live free, to be able to live on your own, to be able to do your life on your own merit and not be put into a home where we all know what's happening right now. People are dying alone. People are being neglected and they're being killed through that process, which is awful. And it's heartbreaking to see that this is actually happening in our society. Do one thing to move the needle. Do one thing. That could be drink a little bit more water. Do one thing. Get a little bit more sleep. Maybe you need better sleep. Maybe you need to park your fucking cell phones an hour before you go to bed and leave them out of your room. Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's so crucial right now. And like Alex, you're saying like your kids, they have to have meat. But I'm telling you right now, if you can season things a little bit differently, if you can kind of tweak
my oldest stepkid, he is okay with the vegetarian vegan meals. It's the middle, the younger three.
Yeah.
My youngest is 5. He doesn't understand. He wants what he wants. So it's like, no, this is what's for dinner. And then we have the issues, him screaming, whatever. But we usually don't cave in. But it's like, he's the only one I cook for at lunch. So I generally cook healthier. Like, I know how she said mac and cheese isn't good, but usually we do our own mac and cheese. Like, from scratch.
I think you're talking,
so like,
you're talking craft dinner from the box there. That's the plastic.
It's not that great, but
No.
It happens.
You know what? And again, the one-offs, it's never to shame any parents, because sometimes it's like, even if you look at it like in a general sense,
junk food is cheaper than healthy food, so I understand it. And in this right now, with what's going on, I understand not being able to go buy, the healthier options and having to, subside with the, kind of more junkier food just because you're not making enough money to buy it.
But do you know that you could make pancakes with oatmeal and bananas? Did you know that you can do plantain pancakes?
We do it all the time. Plantains, we got to be anything soy and pea based. We got to be careful. There's an allergy in the house.
Yeah, but
same with pineapple and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we can plantains, barley. What's that one? The one that looks like a hoof shoe.
A hoof shoe?
A hoof. A hoof of an animal, like it's split in the middle. It's I want to say buckwheat, maybe.
Okay, maybe.
I don't know, man. It's I love them. Whatever it is, I love them. I don't know what they're called, but they're little white. They're like a circle oval, and then they've got like a dark line in the middle of how they were come off the shoot.
Oh, I don't know.
Quinoa,
I don't know.
Quinoa tastes nasty.
Quinoa is delicious, actually. And
I hate the
that's
taste.
all.
But it could be how it's seasoned too, right?
I was tell you right now, I could make like I cook a lot here. And
when are you coming to Canada? Because I'm just gonna come visit, and you're gonna cook me all this shit and be like, here, just eat it. Just eat
my
it.
daughter eats everything that I make her. She's sitting right over here, and literally. And if I'm not finished, you want to come in and say hi to everyone? Come here. I'm gonna bring in Sierra. Okay, have a seat. Okay, so this is my daughter.
Hello.
And,
she can't hear us, but
Yeah, here, put this in your ear so you can hear.
Oh, okay.
So my daughter here, if I don't tell her to leave my food alone, it's gone.
She'll eat it. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
So
because it's anything. It's literally it's any craving that you have. It's just.
So tell them a little bit, because you'd never ate really vegan food until I started cooking. So
No.
tell them about the change for even just yourself in the last little bit.
It's okay. So we were in Cancun about, what was it, three months ago now?
Yeah.
And up until, just before we left Cancun, I was eating cheese and bread. And I've always eaten cheese and bread. Okay, but it just didn't make me feel good. Well, I had to go to the bathroom every day. 10 minutes after I ate cheese. And, I have a
Yeah.
little toddler right now. I have a 2-year-old and I couldn't chase
Yeah.
after him as much as I wanted to, right? And so I remember in Cancun, I ate these nachos right before we left, and there's cheese, and it wasn't corn, it was corn, but whatever.
Yeah.
And I couldn't breathe at all. And it was like 3 nachos, but there's loaded cheese on it. And I couldn't breathe and I couldn't chase after my kid. So I'm like, that's it, no more. And I haven't eaten cheese since then. And oh my God, just like the amount of I'm so much more mobile now.
Oh, and
it's
the weight
ridiculous.
that she's lost in like 3,
Oh, that's
2.5
awesome.
months.
It's ridiculous.
It's starting to melt off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But and in here, like I guess Sierra, you'd be like so want to talk about this. Like even here across the street, like we have people here, like they literally, when we say they work for a living, they haul brick by brick for a living.
They were
And-
hauling bricks when we first got here about 2 months ago, and they're pretty much done.
They're
now.
almost on the outside of that
Yeah.
house. It's crazy.
Nice.
But even how active are we out here? Like you think
Yeah.
about like how active were you in Winnipeg compared to how active are you out here? Like
It's your influences, right? Like as long as you tune in with the right influences, anything's possible, right? Because you see the energy and you see them like your inspirations. Basically, you want to be like that. You want to be as happy. You want to smile. You want to
have that-
move.
yeah.
You want to have that lifestyle, right? And so,
and I grunt every morning right in front of her room.
oh my God, I'm like, she gonna wake up my son. She better not wake up my son. But no, I was just, I'm like, I left your Beyond Meat sausage in the Tupperware.
Good.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Your phone back.
No, yeah, thank you. So that's my
Thank
daughter.
you.
She literally eats everything that I cook, but she's been doing that for a while. But before it was more meat based for sure.
It was more meat and flour.
More meat, flour, and
Yeah.
dairy. And now she's taken
And-
out the meat. Or not the meat, but she's taken out the dairy,
Taken out
and
the
she's taken
dairy.
out the flour, and has
Yeah.
increased her
And-
plant.
And
base.
see, that's what a lot of people don't understand is
She eats all
people
my
think
fucking
they're
food,
lactose intolerant or that they are
and they probably are
gluten
gluten
celiac.
intolerant.
And sometimes they'll they'll eat something that, say, a cheese that is lactose free or doesn't have lipase, and it's like, well, they're allergic to the animal byproduct in it, or
Yes.
they're allergic to the chemicals that were used to create that product. And when it's like you go to a farmer's market where it's all natural, they do the whole old school churn to make their stuff.
Yep.
It's like you can taste the difference of no chemicals. Excuse me.
We go
no
here-
Other that.
Yeah. We go here. It's called the Marquetta, and it's in the historic center in Mazatlan here. And it's like for us to get there, it's about 30 minutes to get there by car. Because just because of where it is. But the 30-minute drive to go to the market for for tomatoes, we get broccoli, we get plantains, we get everything. I just stock up when we go. We go about once a week, and it's time. It's kind of time for us to go again. I'm running low on some of my fruit. The difference between even the market to the food that's on the shelves in the store is night and day. And from the market to the markets in Canada, the food is like, when we first started, we're like, oh my God, there's so much flavor in these grapes. Oh my God, these strawberries, there's so much flavor. Oh my God, this is and then we went to the market and we're like, holy shit, like this is what food tastes like. And you're so right, because you know what, like when you think about 20, 30 years ago, nobody was gluten intolerant. Nobody was lactose intolerant. And the reason for that is because of the shit that they spray on the wheat. They've modified the wheat to a whole other level of
And
craziness.
technically, when we develop, we're supposed to become lactose intolerant. That is how our chemical makeup is supposed to make us, so we can produce the calcium and all that stuff on our own. We're only supposed to have it same time span as like kittens, pups, and stuff like that. Like you switch from milk to water the same time you would switch from breast milk to water or real food for your children as well. They're not supposed to have it entirely, and we've genetically altered ourselves and our kids to need milk when we didn't used to.
Yeah, we're literally the only species on the planet that drinks milk post infancy, and it is absolutely something that is pushed by the Health Canadas and the FDAs and shit
Mhm.
like that. And you got to think like this stuff is pumped. And I'm not saying all of it because there are some dairy farmers that are very natural and blah 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 blah. Like
Oh
I'll
yeah,
give them their props. But at the end of the day, we're not meant and we're not
the
designed to
bagged
drink
milk.
milk. We're not supposed to drink it. We're not supposed to have it. The cheese, as everybody loves it, it's great. It's fantastic. It's a great treat. But again, what health benefits does cheese have? What does it actually do other than tickle the tongue?
And when you melt it, look how much grease and gross comes out of it. It's like, yeah, it tastes amazing. Don't get me wrong. Melted cheese is amazing. But if you look at the grease and the stuff on your plate after you've melted cheese, it's like you want that inside you.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's
I
the biggest
sure do,
problems. But see, that's the biggest problems, right? Like, I mean, we literally would rather choose something that we know like it does take effort to change how you eat. It does because you have to be disciplined to doing so. Like this morning I made tofu. I grilled it. My grandson, we found out, loves tofu today. He loves tomatoes. He doesn't drink milk. He's never drank milk. Like the most that he's ever had was coconut milk and almond milk and oat milk. Those are the
or
three
breast
milks that
milk,
he
like
or breast milk. He had a little bit of it
breast
at
milk,
my
yeah.
yep. And he like he doesn't, he's not a huge meat eater. He loves chicken, but we started him on avocados. We didn't even do pablum.
Mhm.
It was avocados he started, and then we moved
Nice.
on to a different one. And that kid has never when he was learning how to eat, never ever once had those jarred foods because it was all naturally made from home. And this
Mhm.
kid, you can tell the difference between him. He's going to be 2 years old in April, and he, compared to another 2-year-old that we've seen here, that we've got a couple 2-year-olds around here, he's like the smallest, most natural kid because of the food choices that the parents have made. You know, my
Yeah.
daughter and her baby daddy, and then the food choices that
Yeah.
we all do because
And it's like he's the child is running very energetic and all this
Yep.
stuff. Like you can't stop the energy. Whereas you see those other kids that are maybe not so healthy or
Yep.
not, that it's like, yeah, they're twice the size of that kid, but it's like they're not as active. They're not, you see that. And I see it too, because my kid has been energetic, and it's like, yeah, we did the kind of jarred food. I think it lasted like 2 days. He just wouldn't eat it. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to eat real food, here, eat off my plate. And if you have an allergic reaction, I can put enough water down your throat to still it so I can get you to the hospital. Like I have training for that. So it's like,
and
I
that's
want
people are but you nailed something there, Alex. People are so scared to try things because they think that the kids are going to have a peanut allergy. They think they're going to have an allergy to this. Do you know what? Like, peanut allergies are more developed, and I read a study somewhere, and I'm trying to remember. Damn if I could remember it because this was a while ago. But
is it
they
the
say
study that more peanut allergies are developed for people excessively eating peanuts and peanut butter and shit like that than actually develop naturally?
Yeah, like the study was if you avoid peanuts, you're actually going to be more prone to allergies for it.
Yep.
Then so
same with fruits and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
so
but there's also a correlation between overeating that said peanut or fruit, because my mother-in-law just developed fruit allergies, like strawberries, can't do any of the berry family,
but
can't
do you know
do coconuts, can't do.
Yeah, and that's probably more due to the fact that the spray that's on the strawberries, because if you notice strawberries, if you buy them fresh, you have like maybe 2 days before mold develops on them, right? So what ends up happening is if you're buying them store bought, there's already pre-mold that's on there a little bit already. So you need to be super due diligent when you're buying your strawberries, because you're not actually developing necessarily an allergy to the strawberries, but the mold that you might be eating off. Yeah, and the chemical. Like we gave Knox peanut butter. I think I gave it him the first time he was like 6 months old. I was like, whoops, I forgot there was peanut butter on a piece of pancake, and mushed it up and kind of gave it to him. And maybe it was a little bit, maybe 8 months old. And we were like, he's fine.
Well, we'll see what happens.
All right, let's move on. Let's just keep going. Like we literally live 10 minutes from the hospital. We'll be fine.
And we did that with my second step kid, Karma. I met her. I came into the picture when she was 3 months old. So at 6 months, she was off formula. She was off food. She wanted food because she was in a house full of women and me. and it's like all they did was cook and clean and this,
Yep.
and she's like, oh, me too, and it's
Yeah,
like,
just
yeah, okay, here's some food. I don't care.
just feed them.
It's like
Feed them.
you're
But I
never
mean,
gonna
even if
know
you
what's gonna happen unless you try it.
like, I grew up on a farm, and we would have a garden, and I know, right? And I would go and we would literally take a carrot out and like take the dirt off, and
Oh yeah.
or else we would
You
use
get
the
dirt in your
hose.
mouth and just
You take the hose and you'd scrape off the hose. Like you didn't fucking worry about the spray
and we did
because
that too. Yep.
it's and I think that's what we need to kind of get back to. I think what, if anything, that this pandemic has done is make people realize that you can't be dependent on food and grocery stores to have your food, right? Or and
gotta
now
grow
the
your
truckers
own.
are, you got to grow your own. So I think that this is an amazing opportunity for humans to kind of learn how it used to be back in the 40s. Like
And
you
what
can
the
go
fuck
from like
is
the
wrong with
50s back
parents
down.
telling their kids not to eat dirt? What the fuck is wrong with parents? It's like, man, dirt has fiber and it's got things you're not going to get in regular life that's going to make you healthier.
I think like pulling a carrot out of the ground, people are so scared to eat it, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, take it off and let's go.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I
It's
think,
like-
and it tastes so good. Yeah, I don't know. It just reminds me of my childhood.
Tastes
My
way
grandmother,
better than store-bought carrots. Yeah, you've
Oh, yeah.
got
My-
richer flavor and a better snap, and yeah.
and the
100%.
orange is like nice and orange. It's beautiful. I'm like getting hungry just kind of talking about
You
all this
get
stuff.
you turn orange faster from store-bought carrots and eating excessive store-bought carrots than you do natural carrots.
100%.
Even though there's more whatever it is in natural carrots.
100%. I think that this has got to be one of those conversations that we bring up almost monthly. I'm actually going to text Pam and see if she could do this as a monthly show, because
Be our monthly
I
guest star.
I think that the wellness
Absolutely.
is so important, because it is so important to do this. So yeah, for all the moms out there,
Maybe get
if
her-
you guys are interested in that. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say
No,
maybe
yeah.
get her to even do a Q&A about health and wellness, and do that a live show if we can ever get that live type of.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because I know she lives out in the East Coast there, like she said, Ohio. So that's we'll have to
2
see if we
hours.
can. Yeah, we could do that. Would that be fun? But yeah, to all the badass moms fit over 40, if you guys have seen any of my photos, I've never had abs before in my life, and doing the program that you guys would be doing, I'm all like starting to get some lines, getting some cut. I'm really excited to see what happens in the next 50 some odd days, because that's when my goal to get in like the first top 4 abs are set for. I'm not starving, as Dr. Pam said. We eat so much food. I eat more food than like 4 people in this house combined, just because of the quality of food, because I'm willing to cook for it, because I'm willing to eat until I'm content, and then I eat again when I feel hungry, and then I eat again when I feel hungry. It is really about putting the right things in your body. Do you start off that way? Fuck no. Are you going to start off perfect? Fuck no. But you know what you do? You start with one thing, because one thing will lead you to another right thing, and another right thing, and another right thing, until you really start to prioritize feeling good. This is another thing that I would really love to bring up on the show one day is the addiction to pain, and addiction to feeling negative, and addictions to feeling like that self-loathness that we love to play in. We love to play self-sabotage. We love to play
people
victim.
like how people bring it upon themselves, and that's all they're about type thing.
Yep. And people live in that. People love self-sabotaging. People love cutting themselves down or playing the victim role. And I think that that's something that we really do need to bring forth and talk about. Actually,
no matter who you are, everybody has or knows someone in their life that does it. So don't even think, oh, no one in my life does that. Fuck you. Someone does it. You just don't know.
You even do it. Everybody does it. I mean,
I do.
Who doesn't do? I do it. Fuck, I do it myself. So
yeah, but at least we're doing it. We're like, fucking stop, man.
Yeah, you're like, okay, you need to like suck the fuck up, and you need to move your fucking ass, and you need to go and do this, because nobody's gonna fucking do it for you, and blah 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 blah. And if you want things done, then you're gonna have to go do it yourself, and fuck off, and blah 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 blah. And you get up and you go and fucking do it. Why? Because you need to. Your whole life depends on you moving and doing it.
A good tip, actually, Vern.
Coach Vern?
You remember Vern, right?
Yep.
Coach V. He gave me a really good tip. People have a hard time getting into a routine of working out and that. And it's like, set it up as a daily business meeting. You have no option. It is a daily business meeting. You are in business with yourself, and is 20 to 30 minutes on a treadmill, 20 to 30 minutes, whatever. Make that a contract once a week, and then you're just gonna build on it because you've set it's a meeting, it's a thing, it has to be done. You do it as like a work. It's like,
yeah, well, and that's something that we've always said that to our clients back in the day too. It's you can't think of going to the gym as a recreational thing. It has to be like a doctor's appointment. Like, who misses doctor's appointments or dentist appointment? Unless you really can't go, nobody really misses those, right?
no,
So you have to
charged.
Yeah. So you put you have to hold yourself accountable, create a meeting, put it in your phone and say, this is a meeting for me that I need to do. And again, you can start off with 10, 15 minutes and then you move the needle up to 20 minutes. And then a lot of people are fine with 20 minutes. I've always programmed, a lot of my programs are about 20 minutes long because I know that people are busy. But you know what? If you fucking do it right in 20 minutes, you're fucking sweating. You got your heart rate up. You got a good workout. Your arms are jello. Your legs feel like shit.
Especially CrossFit.
And and you high five and you move the fuck on. My workouts are between 45 to an hour long, depending on.
I work out with my son, chasing him around the house. That's all I can do right now.
All right, yeah, so we could keep going on and on. Okay, we'll wrap this up. Thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. If you guys haven't been following along or you've been living under a rock, hashtag Freedom Convoy 2022. Want to put a big shout out to everybody who is on boots on the ground. Todd from Winnipeg Alternative, for the two Todds from Winnipeg Alternative. I think Kurt came back the other day. And I want to thank everybody from Rebel News for showing this. I want to thank everybody from Take Action Canada for airing all of this stuff. I think it's fantastic. It's amazing to be able to see it. Justin Trudeau, I want to just kind of say this to you because you're such a fine fella. You're going to have to make a choice. You're either going to have to show off your inner Stalin and you're going to have to double down and you're going to have to bring in the military, or you're going to have to give this up, because that is how this ends. It will not end with us giving up. So make a call and make the right call, because eyes of Canada are on you, right? Like the whole eyes of the world are on you.
I didn't give up my guns. Just remember that. We didn't give up our fucking guns like Australia did.
Yep.
Just remember that when you make your choice.
I think JT needs to sit down with Mr. Klaus Schwab there, and I think that they need to start coming up with plan B or C or D or whatever freaking plan they happen to be on. But this is a message from Canadians to Mr. Justin Trudeau. We've had enough. We're done. We're tired. And the truckers took it, and the whole world is starting to ride on it because of these damn truckers. I'm so proud of them, and I am so damn proud to be Canadian right now. It was pretty shameful for a little while there. We kind of started like doing one of these, but we're back, and I'm proud to be Canadian, and it's amazing to see the. You know what the best part about what this happening right now? It's a celebration of freedom. It's a celebration. It's not even a protest. It's a celebration. And it is so amazing and powerful. You get sucked in the energy and you get goosebumps and you have tears in your eyes and you're like, this is amazing. I'm so proud of every Canadian that's standing up for this right now.
Yeah, and it's great. And seeing some of the live streams from the people in the convoy and that, and just getting the love from the like the people on the road standing there and shouting and stuff. Like people are handing out like
all the food,
individual packets for people with cards from kids, thanking the truckers for doing what they're doing. Helping with gas money when people coming up to the window, handing you gas money and stuff like this. Like.
Yeah,
it's
amazing.
Canada. It's what Canada used to be, and it's what Canada seems like again. And we just need to keep it from this point on forward. This is we are for each other, and it's like a lot of people I know have like, oh, it's anti-vax and all this stuff. It's like 90% of your truckers are already vaxxed, either
it's
1, 2, or 3 shots. Has nothing to do with that. They're being told they can't deliver even though they're vaxxed, and that's because Trudeau's made some kind of fucking something.
This ends in 2022 with the mandates. And again, it's going to double down. Either JT goes one way or he goes the other way. But now we're at that crossing. We're at that pivotal
By the
moment
end of
where you can't stay
2020,
here.
we will either have back to normal or we will have a violent civil war.
I 100% agree. Let's just hope it's the normalcy and
the latter, not
yeah.
the latter is the first one, right?
I think so.
Or the last one. The first one, the non-violent back to normal. That's what we want. We don't want the violence.
We don't want violence. I want to come home.
Come at me, bro.
I miss home.
At me, bro, and let's see what happens, though. Just remember.
I miss home. We miss home. We all miss home.
We miss you too.
You know what? And it's funny, and everybody's like, everybody's energy here when we heard Justin Trudeau's speech yesterday, like it just deflated. Everybody was like,
oh,
like all he kept
COVID, and I'm taking an extended time at home, and blah.
But
blah,
it was
blah.
even listening to his speech about like, just like he was saying, like the only way we get out of this is get vaxxed, and that's all he kept talking about and it was like that he never changed his speech. It was the vaccinations are what's going to get us out, and if you're not vaccinated, go get vaccinated. And it's like, and then he was like, you know, the small fringe minority, you damn small fringe minority, who are all racist, by the way.
Oh yeah,
racist. You know, like you just it really deflated us yesterday. But we always remember too, we're like, you know what, Canada is like fucking lit right now, so there's nothing wrong with this. We just have to weather it.
I wanted someone to basically go up to him and go, why are you working from home? You're double vax, triple vax. You've got all your shots, right? You've got all your shots. You've told the healthcare nurses they can go to work when they've tested positive, sick as a dog. Why the fuck aren't you in Parliament, bitch?
And if your vaccination worked, then how come you got COVID?
Oh, there's another one. Trudeau, you're fucking up. It's like
it's
you're
like
sending all the nurses back to work to infect all the non-sick people with COVID because you don't want the unvaxxed. Yeah. But you're letting them go with coronavirus, sick as a dog. It's like when you had the flu back in the day when flu was around, you stayed home.
Yeah. Well,
you got better, you went back to fucking work.
It was funny because Dr. Bonnie was just saying, oh, well, you know, it's almost like we have to learn how to live with Omicron like we used to live like the flu. Interesting enough that the flu got a facelift. It's no longer the flu. It's called Omicron. New packaging in 2022.
New packaging from the same old, you know, bio-created fucking bullshit.
Oh, fuck, it's awful. Anyways, all right, well, we'll leave it with that. Mr. Alex, have a wonderful evening. And everyone watching, have a great night. And go Truckers, go Canada, go. And with much love, everyone, we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Damn, dog, we're all afraid to speak the truth. And the more afraid we get, the more we hate the ones who do. You're ashamed to be American? Okay, that's cool. Because honestly, we are all ashamed of you too.
Y'all are so fake. Oh no, the forecast said that there'd be snowflakes. Whoa, you can make us see it your way. No way, gasoline and pro